Sudip Bhaduri here on the Big Barton Film Show on Barton FM, online and on digital. Welcome again. It's going to be another heat wave, so get your sunblock out and plenty of fluids. And we need this summer to raise our spirits with what's going on in the world. So welcome again to another golden movie year. Cinemas are still not showing new releases. And the year in question this week is 1980, 40 years ago. What were you doing? I recall being a very naive third-year medical student unleashed onto the hospital wards. And the rest, they say, is history. In the news, Robert Mugabe was chosen to lead independent Zimbabwe, which was Rhodesia. There was a major disaster in the North Sea. Some people in the Humberside area may recall this. The Alexander Keelan platform collapsed, killing at least 120 people. It's about 250 miles east of Dundee. That was an absolute tragedy. The Iranian embassy in London was taken over by terrorists, but the SAS commandos executed a daring rescue, and pictures were beamed live to millions of viewers on TV. And this was turned into a movie a few years later in Who Dares Wins. Remember that with Lewis Collins? It's been forgotten now. The Moscow Olympics took place without the USA, who boycotted the Russian ceremony and the Russian games. Highlights from a British point of view: Alan Wells stormed to a 100-metre victory, and he almost did the double, but was pipped to the post by Pietro Manea of Italy in the 200 metres. Sebastian Coe renewed his rivalry against Steve Ovett, two of the greatest middle distance runners of all time. Daley Thompson won the decathlon, and he was going to retain his decathlon title in 1984 in Los Angeles, memorably against the odds. Polish workers won the trade union rights with a right to strike thanks to their charismatic leader, Lech Walesa. Our Majesty the Queen visited Pope John Paul II in the Vatican for the first time. Ronald Reagan beat Jimmy Carter in a landslide victory in the USA election in November. And the music world, as well as the globe, were shocked when news broke of John Lennon being shot close to his New York City apartment by Mark Chapman. Lennon was only 40. At the cinemas, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, two stalwarts of Saturday Night Live, were having a blast in the fast-paced cult movie The Blues Brothers, which launched both their careers. Superb soundtrack and many guest musicians, including Aretha Franklin, James Brown and Ray Charles. How did they achieve that all in one movie? Dolly Parton and Jane Fonda, together with Lily Tomlin, were having fun getting their own back on their boss in the very funny 9 to 5. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor teamed up for a prison drama in Stir Crazy. Christopher Reeve made a welcome return in Superman 2. Forget the logic, forget the story, full speed ahead, as Terrence Stamp as General Zod was about to unleash havoc on the planet. But Superman can't fight him because he's relinquished his powers to fall in love with Lois Lane. And Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman, was also in the mix. One of the best sequels of the 1980s. Just missing out on my top three: the highly amusing Airplane, made by Jerry Zucker and Jerry Abrahams. If it wasn't for Leslie Nielsen, it would be a very average comedy. He had all the best lines, which would serve him well in the Naked Gun TV show and the Naked Gun movies years later. And Stanley Kubrick turned to horror as Jack Nicholson took a job as a caretaker in the Outlook Hotel in Colorado, where evil springs and demons take hold of his mind. He is Johnny, indeed. So my top three movies of 1980. Number 3, The Elephant Man. What a sensational performance by John Hurt. Director is David Lynch. Co-star Sir Anthony Hopkins and Anne Bancroft. A moving but disturbing account of John Merrick, who had advanced neurofibromatosis, which left him grotesquely deformed in his face. He was living in a circus as a freak and a famous surgeon, Dr. Frederick Treves, discovers him, wants to help him recover his dignity as well as his speech. Expert direction by Lynch, multiple Oscar nominations, and filmed in black and white by previous horror director Freddie Francis to bring out that eeriness of the Victorian atmosphere. Number 2, Raging Bull, made by Martin Scorsese, teaming up with Robert De Niro once again. So co-supported by Kathy Moriarty. An incredible Oscar-winning performance for De Niro as he portrays the troubled but brilliant boxer Jake LaMotta, a tortured soul outside and inside the ring. He became a cult hero with the Americans, but was outclassed many times by Sugar Ray Robinson. He was brought to his knees by his own paranoia and morbid jealousy. The fight scenes are brutal, and De Niro put on £50 to play the aging LaMotta. Eventually, he finds peace and redemption. An absolute compelling watch. His best ever role after Godfather 2 and 3. But my top film of 1980 has to be Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Arguably the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. The ending was unexpected and a cliffhanger. So many oohs and ahs in the audience when Darth Vader revealed his true colours to Luke Skywalker with a missing hand. We were introduced to Master Yoda on the planet Dagobah. There was a love blossoming between Princess Leia and Han Solo. We meet the double-crossing Lando Calrissian, and Jabba the Hutt captures Solo and freezes him in carbonite. Amazing special effects. It set up the Return of the Jedi in 1983. Superb script by Lee Brackett, who wrote great films for Bogart and John Wayne. Irving Kershner was brought in for George Lucas, and the rest is cult history. By now, Star Wars mania had taken over the world after 1977's A New Hope, a truly worthy, great film of 1980.